Have you ever just looked at the world and thought, none of this makes any sense? You know, it feels like this series of random, totally contradictory events. Well, what if there's an unseen law that's actually running the whole show? Today, we're diving into this really fascinating idea called life's constant, which suggests there's a hidden order behind all the chaos. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, let's tackle the central mystery. Why does life so often feel completely upside down? The text we're digging into today really kicks off by painting this picture of a world that just seems to defy all logic, all fairness. Let's look at some of the really strange evidence it lays out.
The author just throws these wild paradoxes at us, one after another. So get this, a messenger of God, this divine, holy figure, is found washing a toilet. I mean, you can't get a bigger contrast between the sacred and the everyday than that.
And then, how about this one? A person that everybody agrees is a total fool somehow rises up to become an emperor holding all this incredible power. It doesn't add up, right?
Or picture a billionaire, someone with more money than they could ever possibly spend, who somehow ends up starving to death. Talk about the ultimate, cruelest irony of fortune.
And this one might hit a little closer to home for a lot of us. You see, a diligent, hardworking person who does everything by the book, but they live their entire life in poverty. Meanwhile, other people who barely try seem to have it all.
And for the final punch, imagine a powerful, influential person at the very top of their game who suddenly has it all stripped away and gets thrown in a prison cell. These reversals just feel so chaotic, so random.
So you have to ask, right? Is this all just random chance? Are we just living in some kind of cosmic lottery? Or, and this is the big question the author poses, could there be some kind of invisible law, a hidden principle that's actually pulling the strings behind all these chaotic outcomes? And this is where we get to the absolute heart of the idea. The author's answer to all this madness is a concept called life's constant. So let's break down exactly what that's supposed to mean.
So, a constant, according to this text, is basically a fixed quantity. You can think of it like a law that just keeps repeating, a universal principle. It's kind of like gravity, right? We can't see gravity, but we know it's there, and it's always working. This theory is saying that similar invisible laws might be governing our lives.
Now, to make this idea feel a little less, out there, the author grounds it in something we all get, science. We already accept constants all over the place, things like pi in math, the force of gravity in physics, or the boiling point of water in chemistry. These are predictable, fixed values. The text is basically asking, what if human life has its own set of hidden constants? And here's where it gets really personal. The author suggests that some of the most fundamental parts of our lives, how long we live, the total amount of wealth we can ever have, even the sum total of our happiness and our suffering, might actually be a predetermined number, a personal constant that's set for each of us.
You know, this leads to a pretty shocking conclusion, which is summed up perfectly in this quote. If our lives are really shaped by these constants and the specific hand we're dealt, then who are we to judge anyone, to praise or condemn them? The argument is that if you were put in their exact same shoes with their exact same constant, you'd do the exact same thing.
Okay, so if we accept that these constants might exist, how do they actually work? The theory has an answer for that, too. It's a mechanism called the universe's balancing law. And this law explains how everything stays in equilibrium. So here's the key takeaway. The universe is always seeking balance. It's like a cosmic pendulum. Any action or state that gets pushed way out to an extreme will inevitably trigger a swing all the way back in the opposite direction. So great pride is balanced by humiliation, gluttony and waste are balanced by hunger. It's a system that always corrects itself. And to really drive this point home, this source uses this incredibly stark, real-world example. At the absolute peak of his power, Saddam Hussein was an extreme case. According to this theory, that extreme power pretty much guaranteed that the universe's balancing act would bring about his equally extreme downfall. It's a really powerful and honestly pretty sobering way to think about it.
All right, I know what you might be thinking. Hearing all this can feel, well, a bit bleak, right? If our lives are just governed by these constants and this balancing law, are we just along for the ride? Well, the author doesn't just leave us there. They actually explore what we can do about it.
And this leads us to the ultimate questions, doesn't it? If we're living in this constant cosmic balancing act, how are we supposed to live? Is there some kind of middle path we can walk to avoid those wild swings of the pendulum? Or, maybe even more profound, is there a way to step outside of this whole system altogether?
So, the first path offered up is to follow the way of nature. Basically, this means living in harmony with that natural ebb and flow. It's all about moderation. Instead of fighting the current, trying to push things to extremes, you just accept the ups and the downs. You find your peace right there in the middle.
But then there's a second path, and this one is, well, it's a lot more transcendent. The theory goes that this whole balancing law is tied to our ego, our desires, our personal wins and losses. So, if you practice selflessness, if you focus on contributing to the world without looking for any personal reward, you basically remove yourself from the equation. And by doing that, you can actually step outside of the pendulum's swing.
And that really brings us to the final big question that I want to leave you with. After going through this whole idea of invisible laws and a cosmic balance, what do you think? Do you believe in life's constants? Whether you see life as some pre-balanced equation or just beautiful random chaos, this idea is a powerful way to look at our good fortunes and our bad ones. Not as rewards or punishments, but maybe, just maybe, as part of a much bigger, universal equilibrium. It's definitely something to think about.